Why is it that one person can open a small business? You go back there 10 years later and they've created a job, not a business. They're working 60 or more hours a week. They can't take a vacation. They don't get to be with their kids. They're home so rarely that their spouse threatens divorce. They're buried by the business they created. And another person opens the same type of business in the same location, and in the same time period they've grown to 40 locations. Things are in control, they've got a life, and they cash out as a multimillionaire. The difference between these two is not in the product or service. It's not in the location. It's in the entrepreneur's ability to replicate and delegate what they do consistently and reliably through others. Think back to when you first started your business, and remember the passion and the excitement and the energy that you felt when you were first getting started. While many of you may have felt some trepidation, you probably felt like you were going to bust things open, that nothing could prevent you from winning. Now, 7 or maybe 10 years later, things probably look a little different. Very few businesses actually achieve the goals that the owner had for them when they first got started. And if you're just getting started, pay attention to this. 96% of all startups for decades and decades do not reach the goals and dreams that their owners started with. Why is that? I believe it's due to a lack of business processes. The business is dependent upon the owner and a few key people instead of having documented operating procedures that can be used to train and replicate what the owner and his key people do. The business is dependent on key individuals when it needs to be dependent upon the processes the people follow. What do business owners want? They want a business that's consistent, one that runs smoothly, continues to grow, and can generate consistent and predictable results. They want to be able to easily find and keep top-grade employees who do what they're asked and more. They want to be profitable. They want freedom to be able to do what they want to do when they want to do it. And eventually, they want to exit their business and live comfortably, which means they want to be able to maximize its value and sell it, or they want their kids or employees to take it over and pay them enough to live the life they feel they deserve. And lastly, maybe not everyone, but I think most want to achieve a purpose, make a difference in the world, leave their signature behind them, a legacy. What do most business owners get? They get inconsistency, feast and famine. They get a business that runs unpredictably at best. They're reacting to situations, always feeling like they're behind the curve, putting out fires. They make compromises when they're hiring, and they settle for average and often subpar employees who don't really perform to the owner's expectations. They make enough money to break even, but not enough money to relieve the stress. And because of the stress, they get consumed. They're not able to do what they want when they want to do it. And eventually they retire. They might sell their business, but many times it closes or goes out of business, or they keep working because they have to, not because they want to. The Ultimate Sales Machine by Chet Holmes is another good book. It's jam-packed with excellent sales processes. The author talks about the tribal method of training. Most managers and business owners train their employees by talking to them. This may have been something that worked in the past, such as when we were cavemen, sitting around a fire and teaching our children how to hunt by telling them stories. But it simply doesn't work today. In our fast-moving, multimedia, ADHD culture, people simply don't pay attention. Studies show that employees retain less than 20% of what you tell them. Have you ever experienced this? You've told an employee what to do, and you come back a couple of months later and you see what they're doing, and you ask, who on earth told you how to do it that way? And their response is, you did. It happens all the time. You need to give them more than the auditory tribal experience. If you tell them how to do it, if you show them how to do it, and if you have documented instructions that you review step by step with them in such a way that they can ask questions about each step, and you create a situation where they can access the information when they need it, you should and can expect 100% retention. Here's the study that will noodle its way into your brain over the next couple of weeks. Studies show the average employee wastes 150 hours a year just looking for things, searching through old emails, searching for misfiled electronic spreadsheets or Word documents, looking for misfiled articles or forms. If you have employees who are working 40 hours a week, 50 weeks a year, 150 hours is the equivalent of 1 full month. That's 1 full month of 100% complete inefficiency. Now, I'm not saying that documented operating procedures will completely eliminate all of the inefficiency in your business. I am saying that documented operating procedures will increase your efficiency and therefore your bottom line. We've done studies with some of our clients, and the increased profitability generated as a result of the reduced hours of inefficiency in their first year of using the Touchstone application has covered the cost of their application for 22 years. It's proved to be a huge return on their investment. Most people use Microsoft Outlook as their email client, and they have Outlook set up just as it arrived on their desktop or laptop computer. In other words, every time an email arrives, a little balloon pops up in the bottom right-hand corner of their screen indicating that an email has arrived. Studies show that the average employee reacts to an incoming email within 6 seconds, and every time they're distracted by an email, it takes a full 60 seconds to get back to what they were doing. It's called recovery time. This doesn't include the time that's wasted by the loss of focus from stopping what they were doing, switching gears, and responding to the email. The time cost and impact because of interruptions will be illustrated in my next slide. But in this example, we're simply talking about the distraction of that email notification. If you get 60 emails a day, you'll be losing at least an hour a day to interruption recovery time. 1 hour a day equates to 5 hours a week, which equates to 21 hours a month or more than 250 hours a year. Additionally, the average employee spends 800 hours a year just reading and reacting to email, not including recovery time. In the Touchstone application, there's an excellent system for email and voicemail handling that will have a huge impact on the efficiency and focus of your day. At a minimum, it can give you more than 20 hours of time back per month, 20 hours every month. Here's the statistic I mentioned in the previous slide about interruptions. On average, we experience an interruption every 8 minutes. This equates to 50 to 60 interruptions every day. The average interruption takes approximately 5 minutes. If the average employee receives 50 interruptions a day, and each interruption takes 5 minutes, that equates to 250 minutes in an 8-hour day, or 50% of a workday. That's the reason why, at the end of a workday, at the end of a work week, at the end of a work month, you feel like you've worked so hard but not accomplished what you intended to accomplish. It's a very frustrating feeling, and it doesn't have to be that way. Again, there's an excellent system in the Touchstone application that you can download for free. The system gives you an effective way to plan your day and minimize interruptions, and the result is a more efficient workday, work week, and a greater feeling of satisfaction. There are some consultants, such as Michael Gerber, Tony Robbins, Chet Holmes, who claim that 96% of businesses fail in their first 10 years. Michael Gerber writes that 80% of businesses fail in their first 5 years, and of the 20% that make it through the first 5 years, fully 80% of them will fail in the next 5 years. As I mentioned in one of my earlier slides, I don't like to use extreme and sometimes unbelievable facts to shock business owners. So we found a study by Wells Fargo Bank that reported that 64% of all new businesses fail in the first 10 years. And of the roughly 36% of businesses that did in fact keep their doors open after 10 years, only 39% of them, a little over a third, were actually profitable. The rest were at break even or were losing money. This study by Wells Fargo Bank, an institution that is lending money to these small businesses, is claiming that only 14% of all new startups will actually be profitable after 10 years. 10 years is a huge investment to put into an opportunity that's never going to be profitable, an opportunity that, in fact, is never going to serve you. What we say is that it is simply not an option to not have documented operating procedures in your business. It is simply the only way that you'll be able to replicate what you and your key people do. It is the only way that you can create a consistent and a reliable set of business activities within your business. So the question then is not whether or not you need systems. The question is, how do you systemize your business? Most business owners fail to systemize their business for two key reasons. They lack a systems development plan, and they lack a systems development tool. These are the two topics of the presentation that you're registered to attend. We'll teach you the 5-step business development plan so you can begin to develop the systemic infrastructure for your own business quickly and easily. And we'll show you Touchstone, a dynamic web-based tool you can use to consistently develop and easily implement the operating procedures for your business. This is Michael Mills, and I look forward to speaking with you then in person. Thank you very much.